But what we really know, this is a stealth effort to insinuate Sharia law into the fiber and the daily processes of the state of Florida. So we're here on guard to stop that. And one of the ways we're going to do that is to deconstruct and to analyze a movie that Mr. Badir is touting and pushing all over the state of Florida right now. The name of the movie is What 1 Billion Muslims Really Think. And we've looked at the Gallup poll, Pew poll, CIA information, other intelligence sources. Thomas Friedman, tremendous writer. His is that the Muslim narrative, the story that actually exists about the way a Muslim thinks, is exactly what I'm going to show you right now. Take a look at this. What 1 billion Muslims truly think. We've all seen Muslims involved in worldwide unrest and destruction. Well, the first question to ask is about 9/11. The question that's been asked in many polls is, were Arabs involved in destroying the Twin Towers in 9/11 in New York? And if you look at this bit of information, a study was done, asked of Muslims worldwide, in Indonesia, in Egypt, in Turkey, Jordan, in Germany, in France, in Spain. And look at the totality of the responses. The white section is no Muslims were involved in 9/11. No Arabs were involved in 9/11. And the green part is, well, we're not quite sure. We're not quite sure if Saudi Arabia is an Arab country. Yeah, give me a break. But where we're going is showing the deadly and dangerous worldview of a significant portion of Muslims that we are on guard against here in the United States. Are we talking about all Muslims? Absolutely not. Are we talking about exposing Muslims who think this way? Absolutely. That's what we're here for. The next question that was asked, if Arabs didn't carry out 9/11, well, what about terrorism? Is it ever justified to advance Islam, to gain a particular point? And several studies were done. One was asked of non-Western Muslims in Egypt and Turkey and Indonesia and Pakistan and Jordan and Nigeria. And look at this. Significant totals of the population agree that terrorism is justified to advance Islam. These are frightening statistics, folks. Well, let's go to Western Muslims, because those in Europe have been there 60, 80 years now, and they're westernized. They may have a different view than the non-Western Muslims. Let's take a look. Again, more studies, Pew, Gallup, and others. In the UK, in France, in Germany, in Spain, significant populations of these countries believe that terrorism is justified. Just take a look at of the UK. 60, 61 million people there, 2 to 3 million Muslims. Of that portion, 100,000 absolutely believe that suicide bombing is justified to advance Islam. Living and breathing in London and various parts. Look at Germany and Spain. Significant portions of Muslim thinking believe that terrorism is indeed justified. Well, when you start connecting the dots, the next question to ask is, what is their loyalty to the country in which they live? Take a look at this. If you look at the UK, or even Germany or France or Spain, the loyalty that a Muslim has to Islam supersedes any sort of loyalty to that state's founding documents, whether it's a constitution, parliamentary documents, whatever it is. Now, we're going somewhere with this. Don't lose sight of what we're doing. We have Arabs had nothing to do with 9/11. Suicide bombing and terrorism is justified. Strong loyalty to Islam. Well, what are these folks, this mindset, what do they think about our Jewish friends? Well, let's look. Oh, a surprise. They hate Jews. That's a surprise. Look at this. In Spain, in the UK, in Germany, in France. France is interesting there. Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Pakistan. There is a total dislike for Jewish people in most of these Arab countries. Now, look at the geographic impact right here. Look at the countries that are right around Israel: Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon. And a recent study shows that the Palestinian territories, 97% of Palestinians have a negative opinion of Jews. Well, what is a Muslim support for Sharia law? Look at this. Take a look at this. Egypt, Pakistan, Jordan, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Lebanon, Iran, Morocco. For the most part, if you are a Muslim, you necessarily have to and you desire to support this thing called Sharia law. I mean, the statistics are here. The fact is that the Islamic mindset is part and parcel supportive of Sharia law. Well, let's compare some of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution to the doctrines and the disciplines of Sharia law. Here's what we have with Sharia law. First part is a complete and total integration of church and state, with the Quran being the constitution of the state. Probably the most pure form of Sharia law is the country of Saudi Arabia. Raise your hand if you like to live in Saudi Arabia, okay? Saudi Arabia has as its constitution the Quran, okay? And it makes sense from their point of view. There's no separation because Allah spoke, church and state are united, but it stands in contradistinction, complete opposite to the United States Constitution. Watch point 2 for Sharia law. Islam is the only religion that's allowed to be freely practiced. All other religions are prohibited or restricted. Leaving Islam is considered apostasy. You can't do that. You're an apostate because you become a traitor to the state. If the religion and the state are one and you leave the religion, you necessarily left the state. Is this the thinking of Mr. Badir? We're going to ask him these questions on March 11th. Let him answer for himself and his group. If someone leaves Islam, are they an apostate like Rifka Bari? These questions are going to be asked of him. Continuing, all other religions are prohibited or restricted in their practice. The next point about free speech, whereas the First Amendment guarantees free speech, how much free speech do you, if you're a Jew, Christian, or whatever, anybody going to Saudi Arabia or Pakistan or any of these places, how much free speech do you have? The next point, any criticism of Islam is considered absolutely as attacking Allah, attacking the Quran. You can't criticize it. There's a suppression. In distinction to the United States, where you can petition your government, you can't petition governments that are Sharia governments. People are not allowed to peaceably assemble. The Quran is the absolute law, cannot be questioned, leaving little or no petition of the government for redress of any grievances. Bottom line, Sharia law is contrary to the United States Constitution. America on Guard, the name of this series, and the work we're doing on March 11th in Tallahassee is to keep Sharia law from conflicting with the United States Constitution in the state of Florida.